Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Here in Minnesota we're sheltering, so everybody's under order to stay in their home. So today I'm out in the garage, out in our little shop here, putting together turkey hunting gear. I've been turkey hunting for probably 20 years, so I thought I'd take this time to go through a few things, some of the gear that I used, a little bit of knowledge about turkeys and how to hunt them with bow and arrow. Like I said, I've been doing it for a long time. It took some time to figure out what worked best for me, so I thought I'd share some of those things with you. So one of the first things I want to talk about before I get into the gear I use is just turkey behavior in general. Turkeys tend to be like any other game bird, so we've raised guineas. Last year we raised a bunch of guinea hens, and something you learn about birds is wherever they roost when they're young, it's a learned behavior. So their parents or the farmer, in the case of guineas, if you keep them in a building and release one or two at a time and let them back into the run and into the building where they roost, they'll learn that pretty quickly that that's the place to go. Turkeys are real similar, right? They're going to be born into a larger group of turkeys. They're going to be with their mother when they're juveniles, and they'll learn this is the area that they roost, right? They're going to stick to that pretty much all the time. So the only thing that really will drive them away from that is predation or nesting area. So if their nesting area completely changes on a piece of property, they may roost in a different area, and that's dependent on crops, where they're planted on the property, things like that. Alfalfa is a big nesting area for them, so if alfalfa crops move, sometimes that'll change the roosting area as well. But what I've commonly seen is heavy predation in a roost area can drive turkeys to roost elsewhere, and same thing with guineas. This last year, my neighbor, probably a quarter mile away from us, got some guineas, and we also got guineas. Some kind of predator got into the run at his place and killed a couple of the guineas. His guineas then started coming to our pen and roosting with our birds. So predation is a big thing that kind of kicks the birds around as far as roosting, but if that doesn't occur, they're going to roost in the same area all the time. So when you get out and you're going to start turkey hunting, locating is the big thing. So get there in the morning before daybreak, do some shock gobble calls, an owl call, or even a clapping of your hands sometimes is loud enough to make them shock gobble, so the toms will gobble in the roost. Once you establish a general area of where they're at, you can start hunting. They're always going to try to fly down out of the roost, and they're going to travel to a certain feeding area or a breeding area, which also can be alfalfa fields and places like that. So to get set up on an area where you can ambush the turkeys with decoys is really the name of the game. So figuring out where they roost, they're going to come and go there every day. So getting yourself set up and in that spot is key right off the bat. So aside from that, over the years I've tried some different types of calls. I want to talk about that a little bit. I really settled in on a slate call or a friction call. The one I have is a power crystal. I think Primos makes it. It's a good call, works really well. It comes with 3 different strikers for it. It's easy to use. Unless you have experience with mouth calls, you're an elk hunter or something like that, where you're using a mouth call and you have time to practice with it, it's really hard to get good at it unless you have the time to practice. And the friction call, because I'm hunting out of a ground blind 100% of the time, the friction call works great for me, and it's really easy for me to use. I've never tried, I think one time I tried hunting without a blind, It's really tough. Turkeys their eyesight is really good. They're very spooky. They're trying to survive, right? There's predators after them, so they do see any little movement. So pulling a bow back, unless you can get really hidden in a cedar or some kind of tree that's really going to cover you up, it's super tough. There are some guys that do it, and they're amazing if they do, because it's really quite a feat if you can defeat a bird like that. I choose to hunt out of a blind. It's the easiest way to do it. I'll talk a little bit about the equipment that I've used over the years. So originally, Double Bull came out with hunting blinds that people use them for deer hunting and for turkey hunting. That's when I first started getting into turkey hunting, so I knew some guys that used blinds for turkey hunting, so I started using the blind, the Double Bull blinds back then. The problem with it was fairly new, and nobody knew how to carry all your equipment. So if you're going to hunt public land, you want to be mobile and you want to be able to carry your gear, right? So started out with all the blinds came in a bag like this with a strap on it. You jammed a tube chair inside it, threw that on your back, carried your bow in your hand, and went through the woods in that configuration. It was worked okay. It was kind of clumsy. The tube chairs are pretty heavy and uncomfortable to sit in after a while. You know, if you sit a couple hours in one of those tube chairs, pretty soon it's cutting in the back of your legs. I tried the triangle chairs, not any better. Good for a little bit, but start cutting into your legs, making your back sore. Some of them don't have backs on them. I thought that would be the way to go. Not comfortable. So from there, blind hog, blind bag came out, and that's this bag. You stick your blind right in it. Had back straps on it, or backpack straps on it. You throw this on your back. You can put a lot of your gear in it. Your tent spikes, your chair could slide in here. Camera gear, if you're going to film a hunt or whatever, your gear could go in there. And this really worked pretty good. It was fairly heavy. I could never get it with all my gear in there. Probably close to 70 pounds on your back. Got pretty heavy. So it's a great tool. It worked really well, but the more I hunted and started looking at different stuff, I had a buddy that was hunting with me a lot of times. We were hunting in the same places. Came across this blind chair. Magnus made it. It was called the Rack Pack, and it was a frame pack that you could turn into a chair. So eventually that's what I got to, and it worked the best for me. This is my whole setup. I've got a backpack, a Horn Hunter backpack, that I put clips on to snap onto this pack frame. I got a heater. A lot of times you go early season for bow. Some states have an early season. It starts right at the end of March here. So it's actually going on in some states already. So my blind, my backpack, which I keep everything I need when I get out there, is in this backpack. So extra clothes, my calls, cleaning kit for cleaning the bird. I don't haul a bird out anymore. I clean the bird right in the field. I bring a little kit with me, Ziploc bags, my knife, sanitizing wipes for my hands, some paper towels, things like that. Everything I need just to clean the bird up, fillet the breasts off. All that stuff can go right in Ziploc bags, and I don't have to haul that whole bird out. Like I was saying, when it gets colder, you know, there's times when it's 20 degrees in the morning when you first get out to your blind. this little black cat, or sport cat, I think it's called. I think Coleman made them. I don't know if you can get them anymore. I bought like 4 of them because it works so good for blind hunting. They're just a little heater. It's just enough heat to take the edge off in the morning. I switched to I used the double bowl blinds for quite a few years. Over the years, I tried a few different blinds. I switched to this Rhino blind. Super nice blind. I'm really happy with it. I enjoy hunting out of it. It's shorter. When you fold it up, it's shorter, but it still has the same size as the old double bowl blind, so it packs up real well. A couple of things about blinds. A few years I hunted on the blind. I did not use the mesh at all. Concerns with broadheads going through the shoot-through mesh on these blinds. One thing about it is if turkeys get wise to blinds over time, if you don't brush them in good, the dark hole without the mesh begins to spook them, especially if they're on public land and they're getting hunted quite a bit and other guys are using blinds. You're going to find out right away, they're going to spot those black holes and spook away from it. So shooting through the mesh I found is your best bet. I shoot a Rage broadhead through the mesh. It works fine. I haven't had any trouble with it. So other than that, I'll talk a little bit about decoys. I only carry 2 decoys on here. They go right over the top. They're both Avian X decoys. Real true to life decoy. I carry a Jake and a hen. Early season, birds are flocked up more, and you'll have sometimes better luck with several decoys. But there's only so much stuff you can carry. This whole backpack here is like 45 pounds. I think I hung it on scale, bow scale yesterday. 45 pounds. It's really easy for me to carry. If you throw 3 more decoys on here, it really gets bulky and clumsy and hard to walk with. So what I've found is a Jake and a hen setup works just as well as a flock. Sometimes a flock might be better early season, but I've had good luck with a Jake and a hen, so I stick with that, and it keeps me mobile. Like I said, the great part about this pack chair is all your gear is on it. Magnus doesn't make this pack chair anymore. I called the company and asked, if they'd make it again, and wish they would. It's a super chair. When I first got it, I thought there was a few downfalls, like it would tip over backwards once in a while if you weren't paying close attention to it. But for mobility, you won't find anything better, I don't believe. I mean, it's a great chair. It's easy to pack in and out. I like the chair so much. I went on Sportsman's Warehouse, had a pack frame that's real similar to the chair, so I kind of dissected this chair and went to a local fab shop and had them bend me a piece of tube so I could make the back for it. That's this chair here. This is a homemade chair that I made because Cheryl went with me last year. We only had one chair, this back chair, and a tube chair, and the tube chair sucked. So I decided I'll figure it out, and I built another chair so that we'd have 2 comfortable chairs to sit in. I mean, these things you can sit all day in them and be comfortable. So the other thing is you can flatten it out and lay on the ground. You've been there all morning and you just feel like taking a break, you can lay this thing on the ground. There's a pad on it. You lay right on it. It's pretty comfortable. So. A couple other things. So I'll kind of break this down and just talk about the stuff I use on it. Hopefully you guys can see. I'm going to zoom the camera in a little bit. So a couple things. This backpack, everything is just got buckles on it, so you pop the buckles loose. off of it. I got them top and bottom, so I added these to this backpack to make this work. And like I said, outside pocket of this backpack's got my cauls in it, my sandpaper for sanding it, all my strikers and everything are right there, so they're easy to get to. I can throw this right out and throw it on the blind, or in the blind once I get set up. Like I said, inside, I got a GoPro that I take with me. TP, the popular thing right now. Got some of that in here. Some rain gear. I keep that in there in case you're in the blind and you get caught in the rain. This is the cleaning kit here. So one of these Horn Hunter packs came with this little inside pack. It works great. I mean, I keep Ziploc bags, gloves, a little bit of a few pairs of gloves, paper towel, gallon Ziploc bags, sanitizing wipes, and a buck knife for cleaning the birds. So. And your license. I keep the license in here too, a good spot to put it. And anything else, extra clothing, my sandwich for the day. I usually sit all day, so I'll have a sandwich, couple sandwiches, and a bottle of water in that backpack. And so this is the pack here that Magnus, this came with this rack pack bag on it. So a couple things. You get the heater clipped right on here through the handle. Comes right on. And on the side here, if you don't have a silky saw, you should get one. They're awesome. I mean, they cut a 1-inch limb in 2 strokes at the most, so and it's a really great saw. And you need this saw if you're gonna set up a blind in a cedar, under a cedar. Like I said, you want to hide your blind, just like deer hunting. So these work great. All my tent stakes are in here, staked down the blind. This pops right off. This is what's holding your blind on the frame. The decoys, pretty simple, they're just right over top. So decoys and sticks are in the bags that came with the Avian X decoys that come with these bags. I sewed these two together. So they're held together so I can just put one on each side of the blind. Stays right on the frame pack. Blind comes right on. You set that up. And you're left with the frame pack, which then becomes your chair. So pull this off, flip it over, and it just hooks back on the loops here. And that's it. At that point, you're hunting the blind. The chair is the right height for the blind windows. Works really well. I really like it. Like I said, I don't know if you can get them if you got somebody that doesn't like theirs. That'd be awesome. I'd be looking for more, because this one I built is not quite as nice, but it works. A couple other things I want to talk about. Hunting in the blind. There was a company that made, I think they were called bow sticks. They're not around anymore, but I had a local machinist make me a couple of tabs that would go under my stabilizer bar. And these are just old arrow shafts that I cut off and threaded on there and made my own bow legs. When you're hunting in blind, it's nice to be able to have your bow set up, your arrow in your rest, you're all ready to go. It's not falling over or leaning against the blind or jabbing holes in the blind. That's happened to me before, the broadhead. So So I hope this video was helpful to kind of give you an idea of some of the gear you need to turkey hunt and be somewhat mobile doing an archery turkey hunt. Like I said, it's pretty tough to kill a turkey with a bow hunting without a blind, so this is the best way I found to do it. Next week, Cheryl and I were supposed to head to Nebraska. We were going to do some filming out there and turkey hunt, but with the COVID-19 restrictions, the season was closed to non-residents out there last week, so we won't be going out there. I'm hoping maybe to get down in southern Minnesota somewhere and do some turkey hunting down there, and maybe I'll get some of that on film. I'm hoping this was helpful if you're thinking about getting into turkey hunting with a bow. Just some of the gear I use. Otherwise, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on living a good life.